Hey team, I'm here today with Pete Smith, AVP of Business Development for Drive Salon Success. How you doing, Pete?
I am excellent, Joe.
Okay, so we've been talking about self-employed stylists. We talked about how to have the financial conversation, how to gather the data. Now let's talk about where we're going to put it.
You got it. So we're going to go back into that www.summitsalonscorecard.com. We're going to log in, and then across that top menu, you're going to choose the Add SES Potential, which is the Add Self-Employed Stylist Potential Worksheet.
Okay, easy enough to follow there. And that's so now we would take the data that we gathered and drop it into this sheet.
You're going to end up with a library of these here, Joe. So you could potentially do multiple worksheets for the same stylist, in which case you're going to use that drop-down menu to choose that stylist so that you can update their information. So you're going to click Next. Now you're going to take the information that you've gotten off of the data collection form and you're going to transfer it here onto the actual earning potential worksheet, and you'll find that it's going to flow into the worksheet.
Okay, sounds good. Where do we go next?
We're going to click on Save Changes, and then we're going to go back to our main menu and choose View Self-Employed Stylist Potential, and you're going to see now the one that you've entered, and we're going to click over on the View link. The first thing I want you to notice on the spreadsheet is the orange column. That orange column is the data that you have entered from the data collection form. The next column I want you to notice is the current level. Now, in our example that we're looking at right here, the current level for this hypothetical stylist is at 5 times rent. Now, that will vary. That will change depending on the stylist that you're working with. A more successful booth renter might be as high as 8 or 9 or 10 times rent.
So really what the tool is telling us here is the current level, but the current level where they are based on what you put in now. Okay, and that's the starting point. To Pete's point, that is going to change based on the information that we have, right?
You got it.
Okay.
Next thing I want to point out here is something that might look a little strange to you. In our example here, you can see that the weekly retail sales we entered were $50. But then when we look over at the current level column, you see that that's jumped to $150. That's because the spreadsheet is set with a default that if the stylist is currently selling less than 15% of their business in retail, we need to really emphasize to them the importance of retail and how it's going to help them deliver more profit. So we want them to immediately start thinking about 15% of their business in retail.
And quite honestly, that's an important point to bring out because the way that they're going to make a lot of money, profit, is through retail.
So if you remember, Joe, when we were collecting the data, we had to gather how that retail was getting sold. Was it owned by the owner of the salon or was it owned by the stylist? So in this example that you're looking at now, we're looking at where the stylist owns that retail. And so she's not earning any commission and she's not getting any rent credit, but it's turning into actual retail sales for her. But there is a takeaway of the actual cost of goods of that retail costs. If, as we said, the owner owns the retail, that number is going to come in one of two places. Either it's going to come in on the top line as a retail commission or as a savings under the rent credit.
There's a lot of variables in this business, and so we had to build a tool that's going to account for those variables. You need to be aware of that, but you also need to understand how it's going to be reflected in the information as we enter the data.
Now, when you show this to an independent stylist, the first place her eye probably is going to go is down to the bottom and check and see where we are in that net income and check the accuracy of that. So a couple of things we want to point out here is that current level right here in this example is coming out at $35,000. And I want to make sure everybody understands that those asterisks indicate that we have not taken any taxes out here. So again, like I said, their eye goes to the bottom there, Joe, and they see in this example, well, okay, yeah, I earned about $35,000 last year. That seems accurate. But now their eye starts to go to the right, and they can see, well, now there's $45,000. I can be making $45,000? Tell me more. As we step to the right on the worksheet, we see that the times rent factor is now increasing. And so that's where the goal is we want to get to at least that 8 times rent. And so we start to show them what they need to do in order to get there. And what I really like is at the bottom of the sheet where it breaks those goals down into daily goals. Very small bite-sized pieces to help us eat that elephant.
So it's important to understand, as with the regular scorecard for a commission salon, with this worksheet, we're not suggesting that they jump from X to Z. that there's steps in between. So it's very important to show that it's achievable in the bite-sized steps that Pete's talking about.
So here in our example, we see that this stylist doesn't need to do more clients to make that extra $10,000 a year. She's doing 8 clients now. We recommend that she continue to do 8 clients a day, with the service sales goal now going from 250 to 300. So how do we earn that extra $50 a day? We've got a retail sales goal that's going up by only $7, and we've got a service ticket that's going also up by only $5. And now, Joe, we can really rely on our little black book of promotions and all the selling experience that team out there has to help that stylist.
So this is where this changes the dynamic. This changes the conversation. So instead of walking in there and selling them a promotion or a stock up deal or tubes of color, now we're presenting those as vehicles to achieve the numbers that we've laid out for them in this worksheet. So you're not selling them anything. You're helping them achieve their potential. So you animate the promotions, the tools, the launches that we have, the products that we have, and fit them into the profile of that salon. Through this worksheet, you have those conversations. It changes the whole selling conversation from buying a deal to achieving potential and results. That changes the game. And that's important to building that long lifetime relationship with that stylist.
That is powerful. That is powerful, Joe.